Finally, we're back. We had a little bit of a issue yesterday, obviously, but we're sorting it out, guys. We will be back next week, Wednesday, on time, on schedule. So, yeah, look out for our podcast going forward throughout the whole of season 3. This podcast is sponsored by WeBuyCars. Quickly, we're going to show some stuff for WeBuyCars, and then we're going to get right deep into it. We're going to go through a bit of season 2, season 3. We're going to go through PUBG updates. We're going to be doing a hell of a lot of stuff on this podcast today. So, without further ado, let's get the ad going on, and we'll check you guys in a couple of seconds. Big shout out to WeBuyCars there for sponsoring this podcast here for season 3. They're also back in for the PUBG League as well for season 3, alongside with PUBG themselves also sponsoring us up here as well. Viking season 2, we saw our top 3, Ninjas and Bikinis coming first, yourselves, Inexorable Gaming coming second, White Rabbit Gaming coming in third. I mean, some strong performances there, particularly for Ninjas and Bikinis, must be said. But what are you expecting coming into season 3? I think things are going to start changing up a little bit there.
Yeah, I mean, season 2, I think was definitely one to remember. Definitely, I think fighting until the end. I think unfortunately, Ninjas and Bikinis ran away with it in the in the last week there.
Definitely.
But other than that, I mean, except from them running out so far ahead, I think we really had some strong contenders in the rest of like the midfield, and it was really fun to watch up until the very end. Coming to season 3 now, I mean, I've been playing and hosting the scrims the past 2 weeks, and I definitely think we have some more teams that came in. Some new teams that really are surprising me. People that came in and I didn't expect them to put up too much of an effort. But they've been winning some games. They've been fragging out. So I definitely think season 3 is going to be more lit than season 2.
I mean, I 100% agree. I mean, I'm just pretty much working in the background over here, and I'm busy looking at this, at what's happening in the scrims as well. It seems very topsy turvy at the moment with a lot of the teams. Like, you guys do well, Inexorable does well one week, and then we see you guys not do so well in the next week. But then it's not necessarily so well, but the points are so much closer in the scrims. So I think we set for a pretty good season 3. Guys, also in chat, just remember, ask your questions, any questions you want to know, anything like that. We'll get to those as well. Also, who you rooting for in this season 3 as well. Give us an indication. If you're not, obviously you're going to root for your own team, but if you're not in a PUBG team, who you're rooting for as well. But
if you're in a team, just vote. You're like any other team. Who's your second favorite?
Yeah,
team?
Exactly. Who's your second favorite other than yourselves? Who do you think is going to try and take this one on? I mean, looking at season 3, we're playing for $1,400 a game, which is good. We got our sponsors back. Our sponsors are on board with us. They were happy with season 2, and we managed to get 32 teams registered for season 3, which, you and myself, we were discussing, we didn't think we would get to that number this time around, but we've gotten to that number. So big shout out to the teams for registering. And then I think that shows that, PUBG in Africa especially is still quite a live scene here.
Yeah, I mean, definitely. I think when we first had talks about season 3, we basically set out different structures. Like, okay, let's say we only get 20 teams. Let's say, I mean, at the end of the day, I think our aim was to get 24 teams, and we kind of structured our stuff around having 24 teams. But then you guys came out with like just getting new players, forming new teams splitting up just to form new teams. And I mean, it's been amazing watching the registrations and watching new teams and new players that I haven't even seen before joining and then filling up those 32 slots. So I'm definitely excited to see how the season is going to turn out.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we got those, like you said, I know the expert zones turning some heads there as well. I have such a good feeling about this season, man. I'm just sitting here, can't wait for tomorrow evening just to kick it all off with groups A and B. No,
Yeah.
A and
Yeah.
A and B.
A and B.
Yes, it is A and B. A and B tomorrow. I mean, we also changed up the days as well, which, you know, we're trying to accommodate as much of, you know, our community as possible. So playing on Fridays and Sundays allows us, you know, the guys also not to, you know, be, let's say, hung over after on work on Friday as well. So I mean, for the guys who do work.
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely going to be a great season ahead of us. I'm seeing Spartacus is saying I'm voting for Rusty Revolvers. I'm pipping Rusty Revolvers to make it to the final 16. I'm putting it out there.
I think it was.
I'm putting it out there.
Was it this week's scrims? I think it was. Yeah, I think it was Tuesday. We had our first official season 3 scrims, and I think Rusty Revolvers ended in 5th, which was quite surprising.
My money is on them 100% making the top 16. Don't let me down, Rusty Revolvers, because this is a team, as I even discussed in season 2, was a team that was just on the rise, you know. So it's good to see them that they're still grinding it out. They're posting up videos on their socials as well. We're trying to figure out a system there to, you know, give the awareness out to these teams as well. So big ups to the Rusty Revolvers, because I mean, they are definitely, you know, they're doing the content, they're grinding out the seasons, and they are definitely a team, I think, definite mid-pack team now that are gonna turn a few heads. That's for sure. Yeah. That's what I'm gonna just say that. But also, like we said, the new teams, Expert Zone, out of nowhere pretty much, and I've seen them doing pretty well in the scrims. How's it felt with you, obviously, with being in the scrims and stuff?
I mean, it's felt pretty good. I definitely think people have been on point. You know, I think if you compare it to the scrims on, like, for the previous season and the scrims like now just before season 3, I think the scrims have really been a lot better and a lot more focused since people have been practicing for season 3 now in the past 2 weeks. So it's really been.
It seems that we've lost a little bit of your camera then. It seems, yeah.
Is there any way I can restart it?
Yeah, I think just rejoin it there. You know, technical glitches before the season starts. This hasn't happened to us before, but I mean,
let's see what I can do there quickly. While I'm doing that,
Ulyss is gone, but they can all hear you. So I mean, that's, you know, a good thing. That's, you know, they can all hear you. I see he's busy trying to reconnect it now on there as well. You know, just a little bit of timeout issues, perhaps. These things do happen.
Let's go.
At least we're ironing it out now, guys. You know.
Let's see if it's back.
Let me just quickly grab this link over here and then re-energize Manier here. And refresh current page. Come on. We got you.
There
yes!
we go. Okay.
We got the beautifulness of Viking back, ladies and gentlemen.
But yeah, like I was saying, like the past scrims have really been quite hectic. I think, especially compared to the previous. It really felt like I was playing in an event already. You know, that's how focused the people were in scrims, and that's really nice to see. So new teams, you know, really doing well. Expert Zone, Team Ghosts, Crasher Esports. You know, there's a lot of, obviously, I think everyone was doing well, but that's just some of the new teams that have really stepped. You know, they didn't necessarily win, but definitely stepping up as a new team into season 3.
I mean, it gives the top, I'm gonna put it in inverted commas here, top teams something to look out for, because it's a new team rotating. I mean, when we get into the league games, it's definitely going to have a different look to scrims. Let's be honest. And I think what we're going to see is the top teams are, I think the top 3 teams, especially because they kind of got a target on their heads as well, let's be honest, are going to kind of struggle in I think the first 2 days for themselves, to try and understand and get used to what's going on. I mean, these guys, each team has 3 days of play, right? If I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they have each team has 3 days of play. So for them, it's definitely going to be for the top teams to try and retain their status. I think it's going to be a difficult one. I do think that they're going to be a lot of upsets in this coming season.
Yeah, I think also we're going to see a lot of different stuff in the group stages compared to the finals. I definitely think some of the teams are going to change up their play style for the different groups. Obviously because there is some clashes with drop spots and stuff like that. Obviously we've included the drop spots into the scrims in the past 2 weeks so that people had the chance and the opportunity to fight it out. So I definitely think playing against each different group every week is also gonna change your play style, and then coming to the finals, with a final lobby, there might be like something else that teams do. So I definitely think we're gonna see a lot of different stuff happening, and I think until the very end, until teams basically settle down until the last week, I think we're gonna have some interesting things happening.
100%. I mean, yeah, I'm so looking for it. It's tomorrow. I can't wait. Ice Monster, howdy boys? How's it going? Dr. Schizo, yo, what's up, dude? Slayer comes in here with a question. Who do you rate are the top 5 teams going into the tournament? Shall I go first?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much to go from, So
that's the thing. I mean, scrims are scrims. I do think that we're going to see a different outlook going into it, but I do still think the 3 teams that were on top in season 3, which season 2, I beg your pardon, Inexorable Gaming, White Rabbit, Ninjas in Bikinis, definitely going to be up there in the top 5. I still think. I'm having a sneaky suspicion that we will see again. I have a feeling NR team's going to definitely come out and do something. I don't know. I just have this feeling with them. They're going to definitely do something.
Really on the rise in the previous season, So
yeah,
maybe
they were.
Step it up.
Maybe they step it up, and we don't know what will happen. And then I have this feeling Fractus Elite. I think Diggs leading out the team there as well. I think this is a strong team to come out, and I think that's going to be the ones there. Quitzy reckons against all odds, top 1. I mean, I think they have a potential of doing it. They just got to, make sure that they make all the games count, because that's something I think against all odds also kind of struggled on as well, throughout their series, is they would start off really well and then kind of fall off. Day 1, we saw them pretty much just blitz everybody, and then they kind of fell off. So if they can fix that, I reckon they can definitely get something great going forward as well.
Yeah. I mean, from my side, I definitely think it's difficult to pick a top 5.
Yeah, it is difficult.
Because I want to throw it in there as well that I think our top 4 I'm going to say top 4 because, I mean, if you remember, High Voltage was really close to WRG there at the end. I mean, it was a battle until the end. And then I think under 4th, it was quite a drop. The top 2 were basically us and Ninjas and Bikinis were fighting for 1st and 2nd. High Voltage and WRG were fighting for 3rd and 4th. And then you basically had this big mid pack of teams all fighting for that like 5th to 8th spot, which was also pretty close. So I definitely think the top 4 teams will be in the running in the top 5 again. I mean, I think High Voltage has definitely come back stronger. Changing some members. I think he can also creating his own team. So High Voltage are like a full pack of just like fraggers there. So I definitely think the top 4, but I can't put a team in 5th. There's so many teams. Nos, they've come out strong. AO has a potential. I mean, even some of these new teams, maybe Expert Zone just comes out of nowhere.
and
There's
blitzes
so many
everybody. We
teams.
don't know.
There's so many
This is good
teams
though. This is good.
that can be in that top spot that I don't even know who to put in first because I don't want to put someone else not in the top 5. You get what I'm saying?
I mean, I agree. I mean, BIA is saying top 31, so you don't want to come second last at least. I mean, you'll be second last if that's the case, be a Slayer. But I mean, I think it sucks that we're going to have a last team, but I mean, it is inevitable. I don't know who that's going to be because this is PUBG. This is why we love the game. This is anything can happen. You can have one great game and you can be in the top 16, and then you can have a mental game and you'll get yourself into the top 16.
Yeah.
Kritzy saying here, WRGE actually winning the season 3 Soda Daddy for the win. I mean, that's a good point. They got Soda in WRG now. Soda is, I mean, we've seen Soda pull off some great stuff. He's a good IGL as well. I think he's still the IGL for White Rabbit.
Yeah, he is there.
Well, I think he's taken over that from Unknowns previously, even from Kritzy. But I mean, I think White Rabbit have a very strong chance of maybe turning a few heads, maybe there. But
if WRG
again,
can stop,
consistency. It's their consistency at the end of the day.
I think honestly, if WRG can stop playing New World, they could have a chance. But if they keep grinding New World for the next 3 weeks, then they might stay at the top 4.
True, but I mean, I think some teams do need breaks. I do believe in breaks from the game, so maybe they got it down. Maybe they won Sunday's scrims, so no one's winning scrims, but I mean they came with the most points on scrims on Sunday. But let's see what they can do. I know a couple of team members also be playing some Battlefield 2042 as well. So, I mean, it's all happening here in the end. So, let's see what they do. I mean, like I said, White Rabbit, I think, definitely have to kind of fix their consistency to contend with the two above them at this stage from Season 2. That's my whole belief there. So, let's see what we got,
I mean,
Vampire saying, we're back, baby. Yeah, we're back.
I'm back with you on that. I think, honestly, it's not just WRG. I think that counts for all the teams. I think the team at the end of the day that can play the most consistent, they don't necessarily need to win every game. I think the team that will play most consistent and have a fixed gameplay that takes them to the top 5 every game, that's the team that's going to come out on top. So I definitely agree but I think it counts for every team.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we look at Sick Daddy Club last season. I mean, their consistency in their last week got them into the top 16. No, did they go? It was Sick Daddy Club. They made it into the top 16. That was proof. I mean, they kept on coming into the top 5. Same with the Rusty Revolvers as well. They kept on getting into the top 5. Yes, we're not seeing 20, 30 kills out of them, but I mean, they're getting the couple of kills and that placement, and it keeps on pushing them up that leaderboard, and that's what earned them the spot as well. So I'm very, very, very excited for the season 3 coming back. It's been grinding. So Prime in the chat, how's it going?
I mean, talking about points, I think we definitely need to talk about the chop and change that we've been going through. When the season was first announced, a month ago, or just a few weeks before a month ago, we actually switched our scrims to the chicken dinner format, since that was the format that was been playing in all the PUBG tournaments. We wanted to keep the same structure as all the other international events. And then I think it was like a week. Was it a week? Or it was mid registrations?
So mid registrations, yeah. Then they changed it back.
PUBG announces, but they're going to the super settings again. I think there might be some changes to the super settings for PGC. Not that I don't think we know about it yet. So. But I mean, so it's been interesting, because for 2 weeks we kind of switched over to the chicken dinner format, and now we need to switch back to the point system. So I definitely think there's some teams that are happy with it and some teams that are less happy with it, but so life happens.
I guess it keeps it consistent for most teams. Everyone's aware, most of the teams that are here played in the super settings format. I think there shouldn't be too many surprises on how things. I think it adds a little bit more excitement with the super settings. If you don't come first, cool. All good. I think the super settings is the way to go. I said it from the start as well. So I mean, let's see how it works out. We got our 32 teams ready to go. Friday we got Group A versus B. We'll start this all off again, and let's also look at it. I mean, it is a shorter tournament as well. We've from the feedback from from the community as well. We made it shorter.
Yeah, I mean, so for those that don't know, or just a recap, for season 2, we basically had a 5-week period where teams were basically just playing it out against one another on an elo bracket, and then from the elo bracket, the teams were basically placed into the tournament stage of season 2. But now, because we had so many teams, giving us feedback about how it was, burning them out and they're losing players and stuff. And it's just so difficult to keep your consistency over a 9-week period. So we shortened it to a 5-week period now, 3 weeks of group stages, and then 2 weeks of final.
2 weeks of finals. Yeah. So I mean, much better that the season. I think it's just. I think overall better. We can then perhaps maybe, depending on how things go this year, how we go into the new year as well. Can't believe we're in October already. So I mean, we literally at the end of our year almost. So things have been really, really good. We managed to get our sponsors on board, and things are looking a lot more positive. So I think going into next year, potentially we can run a lot more tournaments and get the prize money that everyone deserves in the end. For the teams and the players. Dr. Skeezer says this season will be hard. There are some good teams, but I'm glad to be back and fight with you guys. So great. I'm happy they're back.
Yeah, definitely. I was missing Fairy Crew
right?
previous.
Yeah, I was missing Fairy Crew. I was missing them. I'm happy they got a nice new logo up and about as well. So I mean, things are looking good, guys. I'm really, really excited for season 3. Before we continue on the discussion, we're going to run another quick little bit of an ad break there for WeBuyCars. This podcast is sponsored by WeBuyCars. If you want to go and check them out, mainly for the South African community, it's www.webuycars.co.za. Buy or sell your vehicle to WeBuyCars. And here's another ad break, and we'll be back shortly. WeBuyCars, our official sponsor for this podcast and for the PUBG Africa Season 3 as well, alongside PUBG themselves, ladies and gentlemen. And, I mean, let's go on to our next bit of topic here. I think we're going to go on to what's the changes that PUBG's just introduced. And a couple of interesting ones, I must say. You can carry your teammate or enemy.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a fun one, boys.
Yeah, I think it was that was released on the test servers last week, and then yesterday the update was brought to the live servers. And because we play our tournament on the live servers, obviously we need to play with these changes that are being made. So definitely some interesting changes. I would say it's probably the most interesting change that PUBG has brought this year to PUBG.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, you can carry your teammate out of the blue if you're fighting near the blue. You can carry your teammate maybe to safety on a different point. You can carry your enemy, which I think is going to be, I mean, you were saying that Wacky Jackie carried and then the enemy got killed by his own teammate. I mean, that was... I mean, I can see, like... disaster picking up one of you guys and then or one of the enemies like Kritzy. Just he'll literally go out of his way to pick up Kritzy and just carry Kritzy and then see what happens from there. I can almost see it. And they're already going in chat as well. So I mean,
I mean, picking up your teammates is already interesting, but now being able to pick up the enemy, it's basically a shield. So me and Godfather were talking just before the podcast. Essentially, if you're a solo and you like find a solo player or like a player that is like quite a distance from his team, you can knock him. But instead of flushing him, you can pick him up and use him as a shield to fight the next people, because the chances are pretty high that when they try to kill you, they're gonna kill the guy that's on your shoulder as well. So I mean, he's gonna die anyway. Just use him as a shield. Why not?
why not? I mean, rather save yourself and lose 1 point. In essence, is what's going to happen. So I mean, I think it's a very interesting change to come from PUBG. That's for sure. There's trenches added in by what's it?
Yeah.
Pachinki.
Which I mean, we've had
changed.
some endings in that area. So I definitely think if we can at least have an ending there once in the group stages, just to see how it plays out, I would really like it, because it's quite similar to chopsticks. They're close to Gatco. Everyone usually just sends it in there. Obviously these trenches aren't that big, but I definitely think we're just gonna have like a bunch of teams just send it, yeet.
100%, and I think we are going to see it though. I honestly think, because it is a new part of the map that they've changed, and I do think that they tweak those settings just to end there a little bit more. So I'm kind of hoping we get there as well. The church has changed there by ruins, if I'm not mistaken.
We see some interesting fights between MLC, high voltage. Who else drops in?
Against all odds.
Against
all
no, against all odds
in
doesn't
there,
drop.
Pachinki. Rusty revolvers, didn't they also mark that spot as well in scrims?
Yeah, no, I don't think they will contest there. I think it was just
I don't think
off. Our team sometimes drops there, just for the sake of it. I think we might see some contests still in the group stages, So I definitely think it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. But yeah, maybe we see some new fights going down there.
Yeah, I mean, let's see what happens. I'm definitely ready for that. Looking at the chat there, please remove Tago and Paramo from ranked. I mean, not much to do with obviously the competitive side of things. But I mean, your thoughts on Tago and Paramo added to rank? Don't think Paramo should.
Yeah, I haven't played Paramo yet, but apparently it's only for 32 players, So I think it's just for a change of scenery. But I definitely don't think Paramo will ever be introduced to the competitive scene. Maybe, yeah, I know in the past we had some duo tournaments on Sanok, so maybe Paramo takes over that role, But definitely Paramo. But Tago, I think definitely I saw PUBG made a lot of changes to Tago, like terrain changes to make it better for the ranked season. But unfortunately, they have messed it up. So last night, playing my first Tago, here I come driving over the bridge, running over spiked strips. And the only way we got away from there was using an emergency parachute. And then after that, we died to a guy sending his vehicle and suiciding on us with C4. So
wow,
all of those things are not supposed to be in the ranks. I just think there's a bit of a bug there. Maybe PUBG was just too lazy to take it out yet. Maybe they're playing with the idea, but I definitely hope those items get removed. But other than that, I don't think we've been able to play it enough just yet to see it to play out on a competitive level.
No, I agree. I mean, most of the pro players I've seen, even on Twitter, they've been very vocal about it, saying this is not the greatest move they've ever done. I see one question here, which we're going to have to... Two questions here from Asai Wara. I do apologize if I pronounced the name wrong. The other teams should respect the drop spots of other teams. I mean, league, it's all to play for. I mean, if you want to contest a spot, contest a spot. It's if you lose out that fight, that's you giving points to the other team. Hence why in scrims, and this is something we were going to talk about. I think we're going to bring in this topic now as well. I mean, there's a difference between scrims and a league match. So drop spots, no, we don't do drop spots in a league match because things just don't need to be done that way. Because if you're going to land like we saw DA in the last PGI, and who was the other team? I can't remember.
It was 4 a.m. Yeah.
4 a.m. Yes, that's right. I mean, they kept on bleeding points to each other. I mean, it just did not work, and they kept on doing it, and that's their decision to do that. Whereas in scrims, why we have the drop spot locations like in the international scene is because, you know, teams want to practice, you know, maybe the timing of their looting patterns, the timing when they need to do the rotations without getting interrupted, because that's the whole point of a scrim, right?
Just like
to
if someone wants to land there, they can set up,
Yeah,
and like
100%.
both teams basically
Correct.
practice to fight for that spot, you know?
Correct. But if you want to do that in a league match, by all means, if 4 teams want to land in one spot, go for it. What are the chances of you coming out with a full team? That in the end, you know, that's the risk you're going to take. That's the risk that you're taking to lose money in the league or whatever the case. But for scrims, it's a different setting. It's something there for the guys to, okay, cool, I know this is going to happen. We can prep for it. We can do X, we can do Y. And, you know, everyone is practicing their strats that they want to do. Exactly the same thing happens in international scrims as well. So, I mean, it's not like we reinventing the wheel or anything like that. It's just how, you know, people want to interpret it. And I know some of the teams are a bit upset with the drop spots that we've introduced as well. But I mean, these are the things that we're trying to give a professional standard to everything that we do as well. So I think that kind of answers that question outright there, I think.
Yeah.
Anything to add there, Viking?
No, I think like I'm just gonna add to that saying like if you want to, the whole point of the drop spot channel isn't telling you you're not allowed to drop anywhere. It's just giving both teams equal chance to practice, you know, dropping there. Because I'm gonna use the same example I tried to give every team. You know, if you're gonna hard drop a team, what would be your reason for it, right? So in scrims, the only reason you would want to hard drop a team is to get that drop spot. You know, if you hard drop a team just for the fun of it, then obviously you're not taking scrim seriously. You know, and then you shouldn't be playing scrims because you're just messing around, right? So the only reason why you want to hard drop a team is because you maybe want to fight them to take it away from them. You know, and both teams need to have equal chance in doing that, because if you just drop there by surprise and you kill them because it was a surprise, it's not like they're gonna leave. It's just gonna take longer because now they're gonna plan for you for the next time, you know? And then it's just gonna drag that fight out longer. Whereas if you just say, listen here, we're coming, you know, we're gonna contest your spot, you know, let's get things going, you know, it just gets that formality sorted quicker, and everyone gets a fair chance in fighting for that location.
And fair chance to practice as well. So, but like we say, in league, it's all up for grabs, guys. You take that risk. In the end of the day, you know, that is your risk that you want to take. If you want to go into the end game with 2 players because you lost the 2 and you won the fight, but you lost 2 of your teammates, how far are you going to go in that game? You know, so you know you got to take there's risk and reward, and that'll be interesting to see which teams take that certain risks in the early stages and see how that develops over time throughout the entire league over the 5 weeks. Another question here, which I guess we kind of have to answer from Zach. Can't you tell Pubg to let us get in the esports server?
Okay. I mean, we've
I think Viking can answer that one.
We've answered this a few times. So basically, the response we got from Pubg is that because we are a community hosted event, we are not allowed to play on the esports server, right?
Yeah.
Because otherwise, there's so many community hosted events for Pubg, you know, across the world, internationally, everywhere. then the esports client is going to be flooded. What stops um, people just from using it for anything?
Yeah.
So I mean, so we have asked a few times already, and unfortunately, that is the response that for now, because we are a community hosted event, we are not allowed to play on the esports servers, which means we have to deal with the disconnects and all these things. But there's nothing we can do about it. We just have to live with the consequences, I guess.
It's just the way it is. I mean, we've asked, that's the response we got, and we have a very good relationship with our contact with PUBG as well. So I mean, they've been very accommodating with a lot of the things that we've been asking and what we've requested, and it's a two-way street with them as well. So I mean, unfortunately, we can't get those esports because we are in essence a community. Blue Screen is asking, explain what you mean by a community hosted event. In essence, PUBG Africa and all these smaller conglomerates that don't deal with PUBG themselves, so anything that's not a PUBG corporation event, if you want to call it that, that's created from PUBG Corp themselves, everything else is a community based event. So for instance, like Star Ladder, that comes directly from PUBG Corp. Star Ladder hosts it for them, so PUBG Corp's in control of that, of what happens in that tournament and whatever the case is. Whereas even though PUBG sponsors PUBG Africa, we're still a community based operation. So therefore, that's what we are. We are a community hosted event.
Yeah, I mean, I'm
Hope
pretty sure
that
there
kind of
are
answers your
some
question.
some I can't get what the word is now. Some community hosted events. I like PSL. I don't think PSL is like controlled by PUBG, but because it is a tier 1 event,
Yeah.
that is in like almost combined with PUBG. It
ESL.
happens. No, not ESL, like ESL as well, but I think like ESL is part of like PUBG now. Like ESL and
Yeah.
PC S is like the qualifiers, but I mean I'm talking about the PSL that's actually playing out right now. PUBG Spring League. Like that's a community hosted event, but that's for the tier 1 players. But unfortunately, because we are still, I would say, like tier 4, tier 5 teams, and we aren't like, or we're a new tournament organizer in essence. um
Yeah.
we don't have like that amount of teams. So we're still quite unknown, and like in essence to PUBG, we're part of the smaller community based events. So yeah, unfortunately we can't play on the esports servers.
I mean, the steps, I'm just going to asking, what are the steps to move PUBG sponsor to tier 1 event? I mean, that comes with more teams. I do believe if we can attract more and more teams. I mean, if you look at ESL, you look at Star Ladder tournaments, you look at it. There's over 100 teams entering these things. 150 plus sometimes as well. There's a lot of teams entering into this. So I mean, even with those community Star Ladder, you still play on the community-based servers in any
Oh,
case. There's no
finals. Yeah.
esports. Yeah, once you move to the finals, then you get the esports client. So I mean, even on those servers, you're still playing on the exact same servers that we are playing on in essence. But I think if we were to get something, I think eventually, if we can definitely, I mean, we are working closely with PUBG to try and see if one of our teams can get into a slot in the PGI or whatever the case is, and that's something we're all working towards. In any case, if that comes a bit more recognizable, maybe in the future we might get it, but as it stands at this moment, it's not like a how hard no forever. It's just as it stands right now, we're not allowed to have that esports client.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. So, I mean, I would expect North Africa and South Africa, there's no one playing a game. What about the MEA community? I mean, we are in direct contact with the guys from PUBG from the
I think
MEA now.
I think what he's saying is including the Middle East players, but essentially they're part of Europe. You know,
Europe, yeah.
so it says like we're trying our best. Like our whole, like the whole thing that we stand for is trying to give the African players something to play for. So as soon as we start including other countries, then we're losing that principle. So
Outside of the
yes,
Africa continent,
so
by the
that's.
way.
I mean, we have strict rules on the based countries. So unfortunately, we're not gonna include other regions because they have their own tournaments to play in. You know.
Yeah, and that's the tournaments that they play as well. So the whole point is to, make Africa noticed as well. That's our aim, is to say, okay, cool. And we definitely getting there, guys. I mean, 100%. I mean, this is the second season that PUBG's also come on board with us as well, which is great. They're happy with what we're doing, and things are just going to get better from here. We're definitely in a very, very good start of our journey with PUBG themselves. So I mean, things do take time, and eventually things will get there. I do believe. So I mean, but it takes our support of our players, the viewers and everything like that to continue on this journey as well. So that's something we will always need. I mean, there's nothing without you guys, the players, and all that sort of stuff. So definitely need you guys to stick around with us as well. We've gone through the scrims. We've gone through. Obviously, we will be still hosting out the scrims on Tuesdays, if I'm not mistaken, Viking. So on Tuesdays every week, for the teams that are playing in Season 3, we'll be hosting out the scrims as well. It's not a mandatory thing to play. If you want to come in and play some scrims on Tuesdays. Wednesdays, we'll have this podcast will be moved to a Wednesday on its normal slot time. And then obviously we got the Friday and the Sundays where we'll be playing Season 3 league games. Or anything else from you, Viking, from this point on? Anything from the chat as well? Any questions?
No, I mean, I'm pretty excited, is all I can say. I think it's going to be an interesting, and then, even for me, since I'm playing, I think it's going to be a stressful season.
I think it's going to be a good season. Africa needs more important things than service. 100%. We do need more important things than service. But we'll get there, guys. We'll get there. What about load shedding? I mean,
that just got announced, so we'll need to go and talk.
That's yeah. We're gonna. Oh, jeez. 9 o'clock today, boys, in South Africa. Load shedding hits again, so that's perfect timing.
Honestly, I'm just gonna say it.
It's happened
every time we host an event. There's load shedding. As soon as the event ends, load shedding stops, and then like for 3 months. We don't host the event, and there's no load shedding. So maybe we should just stop hosting events in South Africa with power. Like apparently we're stealing all the power when we host events.
Yeah. Are there any plans to set up a fun day of PUBG Africa versus NA on EU servers? I mean, there was a slight plan for that, but that kind of fell through from there. But there is something that we're busy trying to set up in the next month or so. That is going to be a fun event, but we'll keep you guys posted on that one as well. Let's come back to load shedding as well, I think. Yeah, and it's load shedding is what happens. It mainly affects the South African players, that's for sure. Yeah, it's gonna be guys, I don't know what to tell you. We have to run our tournaments on the days we run our tournaments. We can't delay our tournaments because we do have a strict time schedule for everything as well. We obviously, some players won't have load shedding, some players do. There's also a reason why you allowed 6 players in a team as well, so you can use your subs if need be. So you just got to plan around. Let's see what happens. For the broadcast and those sort of things, we've kind of covered ourselves on that. I will still be casting even if I have load shedding, so there's definitely still going to be a cast whether I'm load shedded or not. We've sorted out all those issues happening there, but yeah, we'll Viking, I'm sure we will discuss it a little bit more, but I mean, we'll give some sort of indication how to handle the processes. Yeah. I'm sure we'll announce it on Discord. Obviously, being that tomorrow's our first day of Season 3, this whole times we don't have load shedding, but if we do, unfortunate It's kind of the way the cookie crumbles. I'm sorry to say. That is out of our control.
Yeah.
You can thank XCOM for that one, boys and girls. Anything else from your side, Viking, before we end off our first podcast of
good luck.
the season?
Good luck to everybody playing tomorrow. I mean, not just groups A and B, you know. I think there's a lot of teams in group C and D playing in some other events as well this evening. So good luck to all of our community members playing in whatever tournament they're playing this weekend, you know. Let's put Africa's name on top.
100%. Tweet it out, share the posts, get it. It would be so cool to get it trending. That's a challenge for you guys. Let's see what we can do about that, guys. But thank you so much for joining us on our very first podcast here for season 3, the WeBuyCars PUBG podcast here on PUBG Africa. It is sponsored by WeBuyCars, this podcast, and they're also the official sponsor for season 3 alongside PUBG as well. We'll see you guys tomorrow for the first matches, A versus B, 7:30. We start out the games. To all the teams, massive good luck. Just break a leg out there, guys, or don't, or do something. But from me and Viking, guys, we'll see you tomorrow. Cheers for now.